Really, when we talk about the LGBTQIA plus, basically we're talking about all the letters except H. The primary misconception is that all of those letters have a lot in common, and they don't. They are very different groups of people. Sometimes people identify with one or more letters in that group, but it is very, very broad. Because we are continually othered, we don't even see the places where we are being missed. And then it's up to the people who are engaged in those groups, who identify in that way, to out themselves, rather than to assume that they are already in the conversation. That when we talk about the LGBT community, we are really talking about the white community. We are talking about the majority culture. If you own one marginalized identity, as in not being white, and you also identify as not being straight, and you are not cis, then those marginal identities compound. And it is even harder. And that invisibility often ends up meaning that people feel like they have to choose. Often that means that there is a real grief in not being able to find a community that celebrates all of who you are. The statistic is roughly that for anyone who identifies as trans and as non-cis, has a 50-50 shot at being a victim of homicide or suicide. If you look at how we look at history, it is focused on the white experience, it's focused on a male experience. There must not have been gay people around back then. Well, there were tons of gay people around back then. There were tons of trans people around back then, but it wasn't okay to talk about it. And there wasn't the media. We have always been in places, but what we have done is hide because it has been dangerous. Because the first thing that any person who is within LGBT communities does is we're scanning to figure out if it's safe for us. So we see a rainbow on something, we're like, oh, okay, I think I'm okay. And now we are in a really pivotal moment in what's happening in our culture, where we are making laws that it's going to be necessary for people to hide. That in order to get basic rights, to get basic care, they're going to have to hide who they are.